Hello and welcome all of you to the mains PYQ discussion by Neva Yes. We have a question from 2022 here. It's a 10 marker. Why did the armies of British East India Company, mostly comprising of Indian soldiers, win consistently against more numerous and better equipped armies of Indian rulers? Give reasons. Now to explain this question in context, we take the case of the Battle of Plassey or the Battle of Buxar. In Battle of Buxar, let's take Battle of Buxar. You had Awadh, you had Bengal, and you had Delhi, the Mughal Sultan, coming together against the army of British. Now, even if you take the entire population of Britain together, it will only comprise the state of Uttar Pradesh now. Not even the state of Uttar Pradesh. So that was the population of Britain. So when it comes to army, they were extremely limited. They had to recruit sepoys. And at this time, when Battle of Buxar and were fought, they had very limited numbers. For example, Robert Clive took Trichinopoli, the capital of Carnatic, with just 210 people. So that is the kind of men they had. Whereas you compare it with the Indian armies, it was in tens of thousands, sometimes even going to lakhs. Now that is the context of this question. How come the British won over huge armies of Indian soldiers? We have answered to this here. We have given a group of 7 points here to answer that. It's a 10 marker, 7 points would be enough. And we have in a value addition to substantiate our point. First, we will start by giving the context of Britishers. We will say that they came here as traders and their first major victory came in the Battle of Plassey, 1757. Then you have a series of battles. For example, the Mysore battle. So we'll give them as a map here. So the Anglo-Mysore Wars, Anglo-Maratha Wars, the war they had with Rajput states, the Carnatic Wars, the annexation of Punjab, Sindh, and here the Battle of Buxar, where you have Mughals, Awadh, and Bengal together. So Bengal means Bihar, Odisha, and the modern day Bangladesh. So almost all of India was conquered. All right. Now the first and foremost reason, it is the superior tactics and organization. So it is during the Carnatic Wars, the Dupleix is a French general, Dupleix defeats the army of Nawab of Arcot. It is at that time the European powers realized that with a disciplined army with superior tactics, you can defeat large armies. Now, Babur proved it in 1526 because Ibrahim Lodi has an army of 1.5 lakh and Babur just had thousands of men. But Babur defeated them because Babur had gun. So, superior tactics and organization can defeat huge armies. So, this is the first point. Second, mix of diplomacy. Very important. Take the case of Battle of Plassey. Even before the war, Sirajud-Dowlah was lost because Robert Clive struck an alliance with Mir Jafar, who is a rebel general. He also had Raj Durlap, Omid Chand, Jagat Seth, all the rich and affluent people in Bengal. So Robert Clive had diplomatic alliance. So diplomacy is one of the important reasons for British victory because they had very few men, so they relied on other things. Now, control over the sea. Now, this is one very important factor because that was a time when control over the sea meant control over the world. So British Navy was very superior and Mughals were a force that was more focused on land than on water. And even if you take the Indian princely states, except for Marathas, none of them had a formidable navy. Then conflicting interest of Indian rulers. Now one interesting story that I'll narrate here is the Anglo-Mysore Wars. In the first Anglo-Mysore War, you have British, Marathas and Nizam together, Nizam of Hyderabad together against Hyder Ali. When it comes to the fourth Mysore War, these people are still there on the side of British. And once Tipu Sultan was defeated, his territory was divided among the Marathas and the Nawab of Mysore, Nizam of Mysore. So the British already had alliances with them, and the conflict between Indian rulers was taken to their advantage. And Indian rulers never saw the British as a formidable enemy, they only saw the immediate enemy. In fact, the British wanted to defeat everything. For example, the Marathas allied with the British in the Anglo-Mysore War, and once Tipu was defeated, the British took over the Maratha territory as well. So these people were digging their own grave. That is this point. Next is effective systems, something that the Indian rulers never did and something that they never knew, like subsidiary alliance. So the British appointed a resident there. They had an army at the expense of the princely state, and they used this army to use the territory as a buffer state. So such tactics were a marking difference. Next, you have effective commanders. Now, I've given the name of Robert Clive here. He's a first line leader. You also have second line leadership with the British army. For example, Ire Kute, who won the third Carnatic War, defeating Cote de Lally. Or Arthur Wellesley, the brother of Richard Wellesley, who defeated Tipu Sultan in the Fourth Bangalore-Mysore War. So you had effective first line and second line leadership. You can just give one name here, that would be enough. Finally, technological advantage. For example, take the case of flintlock muskets. These muskets, compared to the Indian arms, had extreme range and accuracy, whereas the Indian armies possessed muskets or guns with low accuracy and low efficiency. So, for all these reasons, it was possible for the small British East India Company armies to win over huge armies. Now, one more factor to address here is British armies inducted Indian soldiers. They were called sepoys, but they never rose beyond the rank of subedars. And these Indian soldiers were given good money, regular salary, so they were satisfied with that as well. Mostly they were from lower castes, and they were selected tribes after 1857 revolts by like the Gurkhas. Whoever showed loyalty to them during the 1857 revolt, they maintained them after that. So all these reasons would be enough. We have 7 points as I've said to substantiate this answer. Thank you for listening. We'll conclude this answer. So I forgot the conclusion. We'll conclude this answer by talking about formidable weapons that came in the future. So if we cannot defeat them in warfare, how would we defeat them? We defeat them with mass movements. For example, non-cooperation and non-violence. So warfare, it is their area. Non-violence and mass movement, it is our area because we have the masses. Gandhi realized this and he united them so that the British could not administer the Indian subcontinent. Without the support of Indians, how are they going to administer such a big territory? So that was the key. That's how they were defeated. That's the story. That's it. Thank you for listening.